Looking to catch up on the latest Star Wars books? Featuring sound effects and music directly from the movies, Star Wars audiobooks are the definitive listening experience. Try a Star Wars story you can only experience on audio with the brand new Star Wars audiobook original, Dr. Aphra, by Sarah Kuhn, read by an all-star cast including Mark Thompson, Catherine Tabor, Jonathan Davis, and more. Dr. Aphra is on sale now wherever audiobooks are sold.
This is Andy Gutierrez from StarWars.com, and you are listening to Coffee with Kenobi with Dan Z. This is the podcast you're looking for.
This is Ashley Eckstein, Ahsoka Tano from Star Wars The Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels, and you're listening to Coffee with Kenobi with Dan Z.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Coffee with Kenobi, show number 353. We are your spoiler-free place for Star Wars discussion, analysis, and rhetoric. I'm your host, Dan Z, drinking One Nation coffee out of my Celebration Chicago black and yellow coffee mug, thrilled to bring you today's show. I mentioned a couple of shows ago that we had a very, very special guest from the world of Star Wars film, and this is that show for you. It is Ahmed Best, the great star of the Star Wars prequels. He is best known as Jar Jar Binks. He is an incredible, incredible guy. This guy is literally a gentleman and a scholar. You're going to love talking to him. And of course, we're going to talk all about Star Wars Jedi Temple Challenge and the fun that has gone into the production of that exciting new game show. So pull up a chair, grab your favorite coffee mug, and let's have some coffee with Kenobi.
So who talks first? You talk first? I talk first.
Joining me today for a cup of coffee is a true cinematic icon, best known as Jar Jar Binks from Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Please welcome to Coffee with Kenobi, Ahmed Best.
Hey, how are you?
Man. I am great. I got to tell you, my friend, having three boys, 21, 18, and 7, when I told them that I was talking to you, my dad cred went through the roof because they all absolutely love you and what you did with that fabulous character.
Oh, man, thank you. You got to thank them for me, man. I appreciate that.
I will, and I truly mean that. I mean, in many ways, you're something of a Renaissance man. I mean, when you think about where you came into the Star Wars universe and you basically made the first fully fleshed out CGI character, and I think that's incredible. It really is an honor to speak with you.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. You know, at the time, I was just trying not to get fired. Now it's just like the impact of what actually happened is kind of coming to light right now.
Oh, absolutely. And of course, that is because of this incredible game show, Star Wars Jedi Temple Challenge, where you're still, of course, very much living and breathing in the Star Wars universe, but in a very, very different perspective. Kind of talk about when Lucasfilm first came to you and said, hey, we've got an idea for you.
Yeah, well, it was very interesting because I never thought I would be asked back into the Star Wars universe. I felt like, you know, us prequel folks have been, you know, we've been so far removed for so many years that everyone has moved on, and there's a whole new batch of Star Wars actors and stories that need to come up. And I was just really enjoying that. You know, I was really enjoying watching everybody. And then when they called me and it was just like, hey, we have this game show. And I was like, oh, what is it? You know, and they're like, Jedi Temple Challenge, it's the kids show. And I got hooked there because I love kids, and kids have always been the biggest Jar Jar fans, and I've always wanted to say thank you in some type of a way, and I felt like this was a really good way to kind of give back to the kids that gave Jar Jar so much love. So I was in.
I love it. Well, and then you get to work with Scott Bromley, who is probably one of the craziest, most entertaining people I've ever met in my life. What's it like to work with him? Because this was kind of his vision.
Yeah, this was Scott's baby, him and Steve and Mickey. And I really loved it because, you know, Scott, he's one of those guys that lives and breathes TV. Yeah. You know, and he's younger than I am, so he came up in a TV kids game show world that I was kind of aged out of by the time it was happening, like all the Double Dares and Legends of the Hidden Temple and all of that kind of stuff. Like I was a little bit older for those shows, but I had like younger cousins that would like those shows. And Scott he's one of those guys that when it comes to that kind of stuff, he is an encyclopedia. So he was more than enthusiastic about Jedi Temple Challenge, and I just really wanted his vision to be realized in a way that would make everyone feel like this was the new kids show to know of and be a part of.
Right. And Scott, of course, is such a reserved, quiet individual. It's hard to know what he's thinking. Not even close.
Absolutely the opposite.
That's true. Yeah, he's hilarious. And so I remember finding out about this and just thinking how cool it was that you were a part of it. Your character is pronounced, I always mispronounce it. So it's Kelleran Beq, right?
Yes, Kelleran Beq.
So talk to me about this character and this Jedi Master's background, and how much did you get to inject of your personality into this character?
You know, a lot, actually. I mean, that was a wonderful thing about Scott and Steven and Mickey. They were just like, we have an idea for you to be a Jedi, go be creative. And I really had a lot of room to create who Kelleran Beq was going to be. So I came up with this entire backstory that I really liked. And this whole idea of the sabered hand, which is what Kelleran Beq is known for. And that comes from a style of martial arts that I do that originated in the Philippines called Eskrima. And there's this idea called the bladed hand, which is like the opposite hand of the weapon hand is just as powerful as the hand that holds the weapon.
Sure.
You know, and in Eskrima, you start with sticks, and then eventually you get to swords and knives and so on and so forth. But that opposite hand is supposed to be like your saving grace. And so I always love that idea. I always love that philosophy as a martial artist. And I wanted to bring that to Kelleran Beq. So since there are no knives or swords, we have lightsabers. I came up with this idea of the sabered hand, and that is, you know, the one-handed lightsaber style that he uses, but the opposite hand is just as powerful. And the lore is, it's almost as if he's wielding two lightsabers with the opposite hand. And what it is, you know, in my idea of Kelleran Beq, and, you know, the reason why he has a purple lightsaber and why the purple kyber crystal is because in my mind, purple lightsaber wielders have an intimate relationship with both the light and the dark side. And it takes a special Jedi to be able to balance those two. So the sabered hand is a little bit of the Sith side coming out, right? So, you know, as Sith Lords have that Sith fire that comes out of their fingers, there is a Sith fire element to the sabered hand that hopefully if there's more Kelleran Beq, we get to see that, right? And that's where the lore of the sabered hand comes from. Kelleran is a name that I came up with because I like this idea of names being derivatives, right? Like, you know, Wilhelm automatically turns into William after generations and generations, and accents change and regions change. And I wanted to find a way to tie the sequels and the prequels together in Kelleran Beq. And I played a character because of Anthony Daniels in Attack of the Clones named Ahmed Beq, which was so duly named. And Kelleran, to me, sounds like the origin of the name Kylo Ren. So I wanted to have Kelleran be the kind of the root name to Kylo Ren. And as you go down generations, you'll get to Kylo Ren, but the original is Kelleran. And so tying the prequels and the sequels together was this Kylo Ren derivative and this Ahmed Beq character, and that's where I got the name from, Kelleran Beq.
That's beautiful, and as an English teacher for my day job at the high school level, I like the idea of linguistics and culture kind of playing a part in the creation of this fictional character. And I've always believed that fiction imitates life, and as Mark Twain tells us, it often tells us truths that we're afraid to say in normal ways. So that is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that I love, you know, and I love about history in general. Yeah. And, you know, I'm always thinking about etymology and origins and where things come from and why things are the way they are. And I think Star Wars has had that, but it's never been very pronounced. Right. We don't really know about Kenobi, like where that came from. You know, we don't really know the true, I mean, as far as just like cultural nomenclature, right? We don't know if they, you know, deep Star Wars fans can go back and find like the deep meanings of it. But, you know, why Siths or Darths? Yes. You know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that. I love that kind of historical tie-in, you know, in the world building part of it, like in the universe creating part of it. And I've always found universes that have those kind of things to be the universes that are the most rich. The Game of Thrones universe is incredibly rich because it has that historical, you know, lineage that you can go back to and find, you know, the history of the first men and all that stuff.
Sure.
And I loved the prequels because it gave us that idea of where all of these things came from, and you got to see the Star Wars world pre-Empire. So it's all of this like background world building information that makes you go, oh, that's why Luke and Leia, and that's why Anakin. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it ties into those characters. So I want to continue that in whatever way I possibly can. And I say this all the time. I think the Star Wars fans are some of the most creative fans in fandom. And I think Star Wars fans are actually hungry for that type of storytelling, that type of world building depth and specificity. So I know as a fan, I always appreciate that. Right. So I want to try to bring that, even though this is a game show for kids, it still exists in this universe. It still exists in this galaxy. And with Kelleran, I wanted to try to tie in whatever we know, whatever kind of Easter eggs we can bring that would keep the fandom hungry for more information.
Right. Were we separated at birth? I mean,
possibly.
Because, I mean, seriously, mythology, etymology, I teach British literature, I teach mythology, and I teach a writing class. But you're hitting on all the key points about story and storytelling and culture. And, you know, whether you're playing Jar Jar or you're playing, you know, a Jedi Master, you as an actor and a performer have to find the voice, kind of find the story of the character, and then you become a part of this mythology, but you have to do the work. I mean, if I really want to nerd out, I could say, well, that's kind of why Dungeons and Dragons has become so popular again, because you're building these characters inside, and then you perform, and then it becomes to life.
Yes, absolutely. And it, as an actor, it enriches the ability to play this person, but also, you know, giving yourself a history, you can hint at the history. And I've always appreciated audience that go, wait, what was that? Yeah. What was that part? What did actually happen? You know what I'm saying? Like, 83 in one of the lines goes, you know, says to Kelleran Beq, how many times did you do this before you completed the challenge? Right? And then Kelleran Beq is like, let's not talk about that, AD. Right? And we make it a joke, but that's a joke that could spark a story.
Right, like, that's a story.
There's a very deep story that can go along with that, right? And those are the things that I enjoy. You know, calling myself the Sabered Hand is something that I enjoy because we can actually visualize how that happened, what's the story behind it. And, you know, human beings are generally curious people.
Yes.
We always want to go, and that's why conspiracy theories work so well, because we're like, what is that about? You know what I'm saying? Because we're as a species, we're incredibly curious.
Yes.
So I like being able to spark that curiosity, and I like seeing what the fans come up with. You know, I like seeing their stories, and maybe their stories mirror mine, and maybe they come up with something I didn't even think about.
Right.
But I just like sharing that.
I think that's wonderful. And see, and you're talking about story and storytelling, and in each episode, I was lucky Disney Plus sent them to me early. So I said to my son, my youngest Mason, and I said, "Hey, buddy, you want to watch this show?" 5 minutes in, he's asking me about you. He's asking me, "Hey, Daddy, can I be on this show?" Of course, that's everything every kid says, and so you get to see it on a very micro level because you get to be a part of the filming of this. I can't even imagine what it must have been like to see these kids walking and just drinking and everything with their eyes and their senses. It must have been mind-blowing.
It was the best.
Yeah.
It was the best. I've been in the Star Wars world for a very long time, and so sometimes you can get a bit cynical about it.
Sure.
Especially seeing what's behind the curtain. And I think the thing that is so magical is when kids walk onto the set and they look at it and automatically transformed. They are in the world. And when their faces light up, it reminded me of what I love so much about doing what I do. And it's that, suspense of disbelief. It's that immersion into a universe, and also the ability to just play, and be completely engulfed and surrounded and consumed by it. And the kids really made that a reality. And every new set of kids that walked in had the exact same feeling. And it was just so refreshing and energizing. And I just enjoyed watching them so much. I enjoyed watching them figure out the games. I enjoyed watching them try stuff out. I enjoyed watching them look at their costumes. They were like, "We're really here. We're really doing this. We're going to be Jedi." And it really brings out the kid in you. It really brings out that whole reason why I love this back in '77. You know what I'm saying? It really brought that back.
Isn't that beautiful? I mean, and you're a dad too. And their joy, like you said, it's contagious. It
really
infectious. Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. It's really that thing that reminds you not to take yourself so seriously,
yes.
And to be able to play. A lot of times we're just so wrapped up in our day-to-day and trying to make the ends meet. We don't have time to play. And, I know my son is always especially now during lockdown time, it's I feel a bit guilty for not being able to pay as much attention to him because I'm trying to figure out what's next. Yeah. But when you stop and then you sit and then you actually play with your kids, you realize how important it is. And with Jedi Temple Challenge, and this is why I say on my Twitter page, it's for Padawans of all ages, right? When you sit and you watch this thing with your kids, it changes you. Yeah. You get to play. You know what I'm saying? You get to imagine, especially adults who are Star Wars fans, who are just like, man, I wish I could be on this show, or I wish there was an adult version, or if I was a kid right now, I'd fall into this. But it's something where you can sit with your kid and watch it and enjoy it and talk about it and actually be together. And, I like the fact that it's on YouTube because you can watch it anytime you want. It's accessible. It's now behind a paywall. So it's a lot more globally accessible.
Yes.
And it really is a democratization of what Star Wars and Star Wars fans are. You get to really enjoy this when you want and how you want.
This is Vanessa Marshall, and you're listening to Coffee with Kenobi.
MEI and Mouse Fan Travel is your one-stop shop for your vacation needs and your plans to Walt Disney World, Disneyland, or the cruise lines. Travel looks much different now than it did a couple of months ago, and with the opening of Walt Disney World and soon, hopefully, the opening of Disneyland, you need a place to go where you can trust, and they will help you figure out and navigate all the different circumstances and guidelines that Disney has put out for you. And I can say that we had our vacation modified, and as soon as dates were announced, MEI contacted me directly to help me reschedule, which is exactly what I was hoping to do. So if you are interested in rescheduling your vacation or want to try to plan a Walt Disney World, Disneyland vacation, or anywhere else you want to go on the planet, be sure to contact MEI and Mousefan Travel at www.coffeewithkenobi.com/mousefan-travel. Their signature service and expert advice will help you maximize your vacation time and dollar, and they will help you figure out all the different changes and modifications going on at the Disney theme parks. They are amazing, and I can tell you, honestly, from the bottom of my heart, the peace of mind that Becky Mencken and the crew at MEI and Mousefan Travel have given me is invaluable. If you're interested at all, again, go to www.coffeewithkenobi.com/mousefan-travel. Looking to catch up on the latest Star Wars books but can't find the time? Try listening to them on audio, featuring sound effects, top-notch narrators, and music directly from the movies. Star Wars audiobooks are the definitive listening experience. Are you looking for a Star Wars story you can only experience on audio? Try the brand new Star Wars audiobook original, Dr. Aphra, by Sarah Kuhn, read by an all-star cast including Mark Thompson, Catherine Tabor, Jonathan Davis, and more. Dr. Aphra is on sale now. Visit penguinrandomhouseaudio.com/Star Wars to listen to clips and find your next listen, or buy now wherever audiobooks are sold. Right. Well, and it is, like you said, it's very accessible. You can, the other day we had a long car trip, and so, I handed my son my phone. He's watching the latest episode of Star Wars Jedi Temple Challenge. Hey, Daddy. And he's like, and I'm telling him, to keep him entertained. And also, I want to know, too. So tell me what's happening. So he's describing to me what it's like. And it must be, I bet it's awesome, but you're also at the, you're still performing, you're still hosting. What is it like? Like, what kind of walk me through a typical game show filming experience? Is it all kind of happening like we're seeing it, or is that just the magic of production?
No, it's pretty much happening as you're seeing it.
Wow.
I mean, I think, we have our script that we have to follow, but it's mostly the intros to the games.
Sure.
The competition part of the game is real. So these young people want it, They want that lightsaber. They want that cloak. And they're battling, and they're serious about it. And there's a couple of really harrowing moments, especially in the physical challenge, what I'm saying, where, these kids are swinging on a rope, and sometimes it's not as successful as other times. And so when, Mary and I are commenting on gameplay, those are like real-time comments.
Right.
We are really watching what they're doing and their decision-making and the strategies that they have, and are genuinely excited about it. So yeah, what you see is pretty much the show. And I have to say, like, I'm just so amazed at the contestants and how they do what they do. Because there are a couple of things in the show that I don't think I could do, especially, the knowledge challenge, where you have to like listen to the story and then, answer the questions. There were a couple of times where I was just like, you know what, I'm going to actually do it. I'm not going to read the script. I'm going to see if I can remember these details of the story. And I would sit and listen to Mary tell the story. And then I'd just be like, nope, gone. I lost it. I'm not, where are we? Yeah. And then the kids would answer these questions. And I'm like, how did they retain all of that? No, I don't know how they did it. But yeah, it's pretty much what you see.
That's wild. I mean, it's got to be a lot to keep track of. But I agree with you. After watching, that you've got strength, you got knowledge, and you've got bravery. But for knowledge, I'm pretty convinced I'm not a Jedi now, unfortunately, because of the exact reasons that you mentioned. But, the kids, you're right, they just like have photographic memories. And what I've learned, throughout time as an educator, when you engage kids, when you keep them entertained, they're gonna buy into everything that you are trying to explain to them and show them. And that's a key element of why this show is so successful and so darn fun. It's exciting. The competition, of course, is real, but it's very entertaining. It's a cool part of the story.
Yeah, that's a big deal. It's a really big deal. And I like the fact that the kids are excited for each challenge. And what's really exciting is when, kids are playing at home, they try to find a way to create their own Jedi Temple challenges, right? And so I sometimes get pictures from kids like walking through where they live or their backyards, and they've constructed their own Jedi Temple challenge obstacle courses, or they have their own knowledge trials. Like parents are taking the method of the knowledge trial and incorporating it into their kids' schoolwork, you know? And so it's stuff like that that gets me excited, because there's a bit of cynicism when it comes to young people learning nowadays. Yeah. Everybody talks about how much video games that they play, or everything is kind of like spoon fed to them on TikTok and, you know, all the social media stuff. So there's a great deal of cynicism when it comes to how children learn nowadays. Yeah. But learning hasn't gone anywhere.
Right.
Kids want to know. Kids want to learn. Kids want to have that experience. We have to meet them at their attention span. We have to meet them at their curiosity. You know, we have to meet them at their interest. We can't stick to how we learned as kids, right? The world is faster. It's more accessible. It's easier to get misinformation. So we have to find a way to meet them at where they are and where the technology is. But learning hasn't gone anywhere.
No.
Yeah. They're still excited to learn. And that's what I dig about Jedi Temple Challenge. When I hear these stories back, it's like, oh, my kid got all the answers to the knowledge challenge. Like, see, they can do it. They still can do it, right? And so the cynicism of where we are as far as how we educate our kids kind of goes away.
I agree, and again, you know, you're talking to an educator, and you are preaching to the choir, my friend. And I completely agree, because they are hungry. Kids are very much like sponges, and you know, it's, you know, like, and you said it beautifully. You know, the way we learned is different. You know, this is a different generation. They have different things. They have so much more vying for their attention than we can possibly comprehend. So then you meet them where they're at. You know, when other teachers say to me, you know, remote learning is intimidating, blah blah. I said, no, well, we just have to do it better. They already know how they can get on Zoom calls and Google Meets and do all this stuff. We can do it better. And that, I feel like, is what Jedi Temple Challenge is doing. It's meeting kids where they're at and giving them something that they love, but they can learn. And that, you know, the athletic part of it, the competition part of it, and the teamwork and collaboration, I think, is essential. And I believe, and I'm sure you do too, everybody, the kids, the contestants who win, it's because they work together better than the other.
That's right. That's right. They do. And you can tell which teams know each other and which teams trust each other.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, it is, you know, there's the escape room part in the final challenge where they're separated into two different rooms, and one kid has to communicate to the other kid about like either colors or shapes or and it really is a testament to how we talk to one another. It really is a testament of how communication is key, even when you're separated. And the contestants that communicate the best and get through that part of the trial, in the final trial, are usually the ones that fly through and get the lightsabers. It's the ones that have a hard time communicating that get tripped up in that one, and you're just like, oh, this is a very integral part in the process. You have to know how to communicate with one another.
Here. And then at the end of the show, when there's a team that's successful, you get to read that awesome Jedi oath. It always sounds so cool and majestic, come from Kelleran Beq. And those lightsabers look very much like the ones from Galaxy's Edge, as far as I can tell. Yeah.
Yeah, they are. They are the ones from Galaxy's Edge. That was important also.
Yes.
You know, I think when we're talking about learning and we're talking about reaching kids to where they are, we're talking about accessibility, right? And for me, I wanted Jedi Temple Challenge, from what I could do, to be as accessible as possible. I wanted people who are looking at Kelleran Beq to go, I could do that. Like, I could be that, rather than, oh, that guy is so cool, I'll never be, right?
Right.
I've always wanted a character to be accessible, to be approachable. So the fact that you can get these, you know, even with Kelleran's lightsaber, you can get those components at Galaxy's Edge. Like, you can actually build that. And it's not a custom, specific, unknown, untouchable thing, right? No, these are regular parts that you can get. You know what I'm saying? Even the boots that Kelleran wears, like the costume is a Galaxy's Edge costume. And
Really?
It's like, get that costume at Galaxy's Edge.
Wow.
Right? And that accessibility, the ability to come into your home and say, you know what, these things are actually achievable. That's where you get them. And it's not, these custom things is important for the show.
Listening to Coffee with Kenobi, you are, with Dan Z, the podcast you're looking for. This is...
As we begin to wrap up the show, I want to thank each of you for taking time out of your busy schedule to have a cup of coffee with me and for helping to spread the word about our Star Wars family we've got here at Coffee with Kenobi. Be sure to tune in Monday nights at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live at www.coffeewithkenobi.com/live or www.facebook.com/coffeewithkenobi and have a cup of coffee, tea, or any beverage of your choosing with me as we continue the conversation. To join us in the CWK Cafe, which is our Facebook group, and share your Star Wars thoughts, comments, reviews, and opinions in a family-free, spoiler-free place that is also drama-free, go to www.coffeewithkenobi.com/community and be a part of the conversation, talk about this week's show, or just talk some Star Wars. It is a lot of fun, and you'll make some new friends as well as catch up with longtime friends as well. I also want to thank all of my new and longtime friends who joined me in the CWK Cantina and let you know how much I appreciate your help and encouragement and love being able to give back to you with CWK Pour-Over, the exclusive weekly podcast not heard anywhere else. A big thank you to Smooth Rivera, Dan Capurso, Aaron, Jim Tallman, JC Poe, Ed Kimoto, Greg McLaughlin, Robert Avila, Dustin Mills, Yancey Evans, Josh Boylan, Chelsea Sansbury, Connie Chi, Tyler Pompa, Hannah, Alex Procasio, Ian Thompson, David Nicely, Simbad Defterdarian, Christine Turk, Ross Halliban, Kurt McKellen, Dan Ream, Colby Mead, Alexander Moylan, Frank Mulder, Blake Weaver, Jim Capron, Chris Metz, LJ Souter, Aaron Harris, Chris Kavarka, Jeff Ellis, Daz Davies, Susan Gray, Thea Selby, Christian Dale, Brian McKinney, Jason Hall, Jared Cantor, Eric Struthers, Mark Suter, Angela Sauce, and Dennis Keithley. If you want an additional way to help out the show, go to www.coffeewithkenobi.com/support and join us in the Coffee with Kenobi Cantina. It's a great way to support and help out the show, and 10% of your monthly contributions go directly to the St. Jude Children's Hospital to support the incredibly important work they are doing to help these brave children and their families. Plus, contributors at the CWK All-Star level can watch a video podcast of CWK Pour-Over hosted by me, Tom Gross, and Corey Clubb. In addition to being part of the community on Facebook, please don't forget to visit our website at www.coffeewithkenobi.com for Star Wars news, announcements, reviews, live video, and so much more. If you have a question for me or just want to share your thoughts on the air, feel free to email me at danz@coffeewithkenobi.com and I'll share them on the show. You can also connect with me on Twitter at Mr. Zehr, MRZEHR. There are also a lot of ways to connect with me and Coffee with Kenobi on social media. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Give us a like on Facebook at facebook.com/coffeewithkenobi and check us out on Pinterest. You can find me twice a month on the podcast Looking at Lucasfilm, part of the Jim Hill Media Podcast Network, and you can find my writing on CWK's website, as well as StarWars.com, where I'm an official blogger there, as well as on IGN, where I contribute articles on Star Wars, as well as other pop culture topics. And if you're considering starting a podcast or a blog, let me know how I can help you get started and help you make your creative vision a reality. Be sure to check out danzmedia.com and we can get the process started. I am also available to come to your school, conference, business, or organization to talk about how to tap into your strengths and help you bring out your very best. I want to inspire you to be inspired. Don't be afraid to take that first step into a larger world. Thanks as always to our CWK sponsors, especially MEI and Mouse Fan Travel, our travel partner and your one-stop shop for all things Walt Disney World, Disneyland, the Disney Cruise Lines, or anywhere you want to go on the planet. Please go to www.MEI www.coffeewithkenobi.com/mousefantravel to book your magical vacation and help support Coffee with Kenobi in the process. If you like this show, please tweet out that you're listening, share it on Facebook, or invite your friends and family to tune in and share a cup of coffee with us. And if the Force is especially with you, please take a couple of minutes to rate and review the show on iTunes or Google Podcasts. Every review makes a huge difference and helps to spread the word. Go to iTunes and search Coffee with Kenobi and you'll see the show there. My circle of friends has grown so much because of each and every one of you, and it means so much to me that we have such a wonderful Star Wars community. I knew you were talented and charming, but I'm also equally captivated by how you tell a story, man. What a treat to have you on Coffee with Kenobi.
Thank you, man. It's been fantastic. I love talking about this. I love being part of this. You know, everybody goes, you know what, Ahmed, you're the only thing Star Wars going on right now. I'm just like, oh man, you know what? I never really thought about that.
You wear it well, though, I got to tell you.
Yeah, well, I'm glad it's a kid show. You know, that's going on right now because, you know, George always said it's about the kids. Yes. You get the kids, you get fans for life. And I've always believed that. And I've always held kids in such high regard. And I've always loved listening and learning from children. And being a part of this in that respect, especially for the younger Star Wars fans, is just such an honor for me.
Yes. Well, hey, that's why you're such a great ambassador and a great dad. But, you know, and of course, second thing being the most important. Well, again, thank you so much, Ahmed. If people want to reach out to you and ask you a question or ask you about Star Wars Jedi Temple Challenge, where can they reach out to you on social media?
Yeah, I'm at Ahmed Best on Twitter. I'm at Best Ahmed on Instagram. Not too much on the Facebook, so much, but Instagram and Twitter are probably the best two ways.
I love it. Well, hey, man, love to have you on for a cup of coffee anytime.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
My pleasure. Ahmed Best, ladies and gentlemen. As I mentioned at the top of the show, an incredibly engaging, intellectual, thought-provoking guy. His insights on etymology and history, I think, are so important to our understanding of mythology and Star Wars. A true pleasure to have him on Coffee with Kenobi for sure. It is also my sincere pleasure to chat with each of you every Monday night at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live. We have top fives, trivia, go over the Star Wars news, and just have a great time. It literally does feel like a family reunion each week when I see these familiar friends and faces, and I hope you will be a part of that conversation as well. Be sure to go to www.facebook.com/coffeewithkenobi or www.coffeewithkenobi.com/live. Until next time, everybody, have a great weekend, and remember, this is the podcast you're looking for.
This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company or Lucasfilm Limited. It is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars, all names, sounds, and any other Star Wars-related items are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Disney and their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Coffee with Kenobi unless otherwise indicated.
This is the podcast you're looking for.
There's no one here. Move along.
Looking to catch up on the latest Star Wars books featuring sound effects and music directly from the movies? Star Wars audiobooks are the definitive listening experience. Try a Star Wars story you can only experience on audio with the brand new Star Wars audiobook original, Dr. Aphra, by Sarah Kuhn, read by an all-star cast including Mark Thompson, Catherine Tabor, Jonathan Davis, and more. Dr. Aphra is on sale now wherever audiobooks are sold.